Well, I've decided to head east, across the country, to visit a true blue old-time cowboy named Glenn Ohrlin.
This is all about a trip up the trail, take you clean to Kansas.
Glenn is revered everywhere as the man who knows the cowboy songs of the trail drives of the 1800s.
The ladies all adore him with his $8 pants.
It's a long journey, and it seems a little odd driving to the Ozarks of Arkansas to find the heart of cowboy tradition. But Glenn came here over 40 years ago when a guy could still get into good grazing country for $4 an acre. Glenn!
Hey, Hal.
How are you doing? It's good to see you.
Good to see you, finally met you. Yeah. You get lost coming up here?
No, we went and got some boots.
Oh, good. Boy, you sure need them now. It's like come on in.
Okie doke.
I think I need a better coat than this.
God, what a great place. It sort of looks like an old Western hacienda. I've known Glenn since the 70s and bought his first record when I was in high school.
Yeah, that's me there. I was about 4, I suppose. I was born in 26 and this is 30.
Yeah.
But I was taking a guess at this date, so.
Uh-huh. And is that you riding there?
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, that's in 1950.
Looks like you're on top of the world there.
Yeah, right. I rode tried out 9 horses that day. That's where I broke my back in Tucson in 48.
That's the picture of you going off?
Yeah, uh-huh. I had the wildest...
That's you right there?
That's my head, body, and feet. I had the wildest spurring lick in the world at that time, throwing my feet way over my head and dropping my spurs in the top of their neck. And he was just too strong. He took the rigging away from me. I got a compression fracture, wore a cast for 3 months.
Glenn remembers every scene from his personal Wild West with incredible clarity. His rodeo days seem to resonate even more than the time he was honored by the president for his contribution to American folk art. Though he hasn't rodeoed in years, he still travels all over the country singing, and our cowboy poetry gathering wouldn't be the same without him.
Well, Mr. Boomer Johnson was a-getting old in spots. You don't expect a bad man to go wrestling pans and pots. Boomer done his share of killing, but his draw was getting slow. He quits a-punchin' cattle and he goes to punchin' dough. Well, the foreman up and hired him, thought the years had rode him tame. But a snake don't get no sweeter by the changing of his name. But say, Boomer knew his business. He could cook to make you smile, but he rustled up the fodder in a most peculiar style.
Glenn used to just sing for himself or his rodeo buddies until a folklorist named Archie Green came around in the early 60s and invited him to come to a college campus folk festival.
Archie was backstage and he says, "Are you nervous?" I said, "No." And he says, "Why aren't you nervous?" I says, "I don't think that chair is going to buck me off." "What about the crowd?" "Well, they may like it or they may not, but I'll get paid anyway." So. It's way the easiest form of cowboying I know anything about.
He drilled a hole plumb center every time his pistol spoke, till the can was full of doughnuts and the shack was full of smoke. Now killing folks and cooking ain't so very far apart. I reckon that's why Boomer kept a practice in his art. With the front side of his pistol he could cut a pie lead slick. He rolled it with the barrel just to make the edges stick. But somehow Boomer Johnson couldn't seem to understand why his shooting made us nervous when his cooking was so grand. But he kept right on performing, and it came as no surprise. He took to marking tombstones on the covers of his pies.
At 75, the satisfaction of a self-dependent life keeps Glenn going way past the age when most people hang it up and retire.
I says, "Well, thank you, no." All I take this trip is coffee 'cause my stomach gets a wreck. I could see the urge for killing swell the veins along his neck. Scoring his grub, he strung some donuts on the barrel of his gun.
Glenn,
He shoves them in.
what's your cattle called?
Cattle. That's what they are, so that's what I call them. Had people come out here wanted to look at the cattle, and I say they understand English. And I'd say, would you cattle please come over here? They'd all come over.
A row of smiling faces and another cook to hire. He's working in some other world, and cooking is what I mean. It's where they ain't got matches and they don't need kerosene.
Every song brings back memories of the cowboys and old-timers who taught him the life and the music.
Ollie Gilbert, she's long dead now, she had 1,000 songs written down on a narrow strip of paper like you type up grocery prices on, you know, on the old-fashioned deal. And she had 1,000 songs on that. And then she had another strip of paper with 1,000 dirty jokes on it.
She knew 1,000 songs and 1,000
She sure
dirty
did.
jokes.
You'd pick one out. How does this one go?
So why do you think cowboys have music and other groups don't?
Well, I suppose isolation, you know. Gee, I spent a lot of time here just picking the guitar and learning songs and stuff.
How much time are you alone?
Most of the time, unless I go to town for coffee and stuff like that. Once in a while I hear some philosopher telling on the tube what you ought to do to, you know, to get along with yourself. Usually I recognize what they're talking about because I've always done it, you know. And one of the things you do, if you live alone, if you're not too damn far from people, just go where they are and visit for an hour or a half hour or something like that, and then come home.
I never knew that I could hurt this way. And heartache number two was back again. You came back and never meant to stay.
So you've been here 46 years.
Yeah.
To some people, do you think you're still a newcomer?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Sure.
Do you feel like you're an outsider here?
No, I don't feel like an outsider, but I'll never be exactly like, you know, some folks here, I don't guess.
Yeah.
Never really intended to. I kind of hung on to what I brought with me, so.
Yeah. I mean, this house is very different than any other house in the neighborhood. Every time I look around, I see a painted beam or a carved door. I mean, it's artistic.
Yeah, And there's a few people here that are. There's some people that really paint nice pictures and things, but the whole lifestyle is, I think, right here, the least artistic of any I've ever come across in everyday things, you know. I think it might be something to do with general religious idea here, that you don't enjoy things too much. You're supposed to kind of suffer. I know a lady up the road here just drank sour milk so she wouldn't enjoy it too much. That's kind of pushing it, I think. You know? And I'm just total opposite of that. So. All day in the
the saddle on the prairie I ride. Not even a dog boys to trot by my side. My fire I must kindle from chips gathered round. I boil my own coffee without being ground. My books are the brooks and my sermons the stones. My parson's the wolf on his pulpit of bone. My roof is the sky and my floor is the grass. My music's the lowing of herds as they pass. But society brands me so savage and dark that the masons would bar me out of their law. If I'd hair on my chin.
Glenn knows solitude, but he's not lonely. I guess that's part of the pioneer spirit, striking out on your own, alone. That's Glenn Ohrlin's song.
And my parson remarks from his pulpit of bones, fortune favors those who look out for their own.